Hello everyone, here we are at the Global Empowerment Summit and I brought you someone very close to my heart. He is someone who is believing in my vision and he's someone who is here for me every time. Our sponsor, my dear friend Priya Mishra. I'm really, really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping in you part of your life.
The audience doesn't know, but we didn't really know each other for a long time. We just got to know each other through this project, and it's just we have the same purpose. And when you find people who are doing the same things, it's just so well aligned, and it's just all folding out so nicely. So, Priya, tell us a little bit about you. I am always starting these short interviews with some introduction of the person, of the real person behind the book, behind your work. Who is Priya Mishra?
Priya Mishra is someone who believes in all goodness and optimization, right? So people believe in optimistic approach and people are open and they can live the life in a moment, enjoy the nature and the life in every second. And Priya Mishra wants to collaborate and connect with the people who has the same vision. Yes, you can thrive but you also keep your values intact. So this is a kind of a very interesting journey. Even between us, it is a very great communication we started, but it is a great story to tell about because we both believed in something and we stand up for it and we acted on it, right? And what I notice in my entire life, you don't need too many people to believe in you. You only need handful people, or you only need counted people in your life who will believe in you and stand for you, stand together. People who can't join you, that sorry for them, right? People who can understand you, that they are the one who are actually your true friends. Actually, they who criticize, but still they are not hesitant to support you.
I love this point, and I have to tell you that I was talking to some friends and I was like jumping around again. I'm like this kind of person. I always have to move whenever I'm happy. So I was saying that, wow, oh my God, I'm just starting this project and I started 2 years ago and now it's the second year. We have doubled up in the speakers. We have like tripled, single, 6 times more, bigger, longer. Everything is just so many. And then I have Priya, and I said that I will always remember you because you are the first person, like a single person, individual, who believed in my vision. And you are the first one who was really sponsoring this event. And I will never forget this because this is giving me power. So I'm trying to explain it a little bit longer because I'm trying the people to do the same for others, not just with money, not just with these material things, but also with feelings, with support, with a little message, with anything. And all of you, like all the experts here, they are just so kind. Like I received a message from Michelle like yesterday, Andrea, I hope you are holding up and everything is fine, and hope sending you positive messages. And it's just such a
Yeah.
good feeling, as a
Yes, it is.
person, as an individual.
Yes, it is. And as like I said, that money is like a very small thing, right? If you are standing up, like a lot of people can spend money, but they cannot stand with you with your emotion and the vision you are looking for. They will not believe, even they are supporting on the face, they will not support with the full energy. And I'm a big believer of supporting with my 100% energy. I believe more than me, my aura impacts, right? So if I'm bringing that optimistic, positive energy without saying a word, I will feel it will reach to you, right? And this is when you are getting successful, and if you are still able to maintain your optimism, your audience can feel it, right? They can feel it very, very closely, and they know your vision. They are believing in you. Your musical. I mean, we both have a musical journey. You are a dancer. You are still maintaining it. I learned classical dancing. I traveled India, to do my classical dancing. I'm a classically trained Kathak dancer, and Bharatnatyam also I learned, and I'm classically music. I love that because you don't need words with that. Even in my book, I have written a chapter, choreograph your act. When you choreograph your act, you have to think about theme and the plots and the audience, the end user, reach to that end user. When you create that aura, and when you create that plot, that with your grand show, this is your grand show happening. When you design it nicely with your full heart, nobody can stop you shining.
That's so true. I feel it every time. I don't feel tired. Like sometimes, yeah, during the evening when it's about like 12 o'clock and I'm still figuring out how to do things. But then I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. I meet some of you, and then I'm like, just like, wow, that's worth to do it, because then you get those. Like today, I had such a good moment when all the generations were popping in into the conversation with Cheryl about how
Mhm,
to join the workforce, and we
mhm,
had the 50s in the comments telling their what they feel. Then a young guy from a student from Inti College was popping up with a comment. Then Cheryl was giving the teacher's perspective, and I was giving my from 82 perspective. So it's kind of like a mix of everything, and that's what I want, so that the people understand each other more and connect more through their experiences, through their sharing, like in the old times I did with my grandfather, and like we all do with our families sometimes, right?
yeah. And it's a true story. If you look at if about the food is nothing but your experience, right? When you go to the normal street food, or if you go to the five-star hotels, they charge high for the experience, right? And it's not about the money, but the experience, that memorable is experience does matter. So when you are giving this memorable experience, and if every walk of life people can connect with you, that's your winning point, right? I believe when I had a word with you, I believe that you wanted not on wanted to a particular of people, you wanted all walks of life. People can connect with you, and they can feel your energy and the purpose and the vision you are showcasing, and want people to actually follow that path as well, right? And I
So
loved it. It's just I just get said like, no, I have to be the part of it, you know and I'm
thank
glad that
you.
you accepted me.
Thank you very much. I'm super happy to have you on board, and I love this kind of when you have these kind of visions, it's a huge vision, so you need to have a passion for it. And I was explaining to people that it's really starting to unfold, this whole thing, as I'm someone who is improvising like a dancer on my Dancing Through This Summit, is like I see already that, all right, last year we debunked the myth of empowerment. We said that, okay, it's for everyone, it's not only for women like you see it trending, it's for all the people, everyone around us. This year we are debunking the myth of generations, so age doesn't matter, right? So we can step up the level and say, oh no, everyone is the same, it's just like, no, age doesn't matter.
No.
Next year we go for sustainability, because I believe that the earth has come to a stage when we all have to see people that we will not have anything in our hands, we will not be able to live for a longer time if we don't protect where we are living. Then we
Right.
go back to families, we reunite the families, we we inspire relationships and connections, and then later we go on society cultural level, and then I see now unfolding the whole circle of life, that exactly that's what I wanted to do, to show the people that life has different levels, and once you start to understand every level from the self to the society and even for the environment, then you start to think on a different way.
Yeah,
And all of the experts here are thinking already that way, and we can
yeah,
amplify each other's effect, we can amplify each other's impact
yeah,
together.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And I don't know if people know me much, but I'm a being a Sanatini practitioner. I'm a Vedic culture practitioner. I don't follow my modern Hinduism. I follow my ancient Vedic culture, and I always believed when I read that Veda a long time ago when I was child. In that I noticed they are talking about not just you and within you, whole, they believe in that whole universe is within you, but at the same time the respect for every single thing, right? The respect and the saving life is, it's so much important. It just felt me that, and I still believe the sustainability is a very important chapter, and we'll talk about that next year. And I'm literally announcing it that I will be also the corporality will be part of that part as well. So, and maybe in a more grand aspect we will be able to participate in that, because we are also launching our next sustainability concept. I believe in, there are a lot of businesses are surviving. There should be a aspect of sustainable business model, and that's what we are educating people, how you can build a more sustainable model. It doesn't have to be grand, but even if it is a small, it has to have a sustainable business model, and same with the life and same with the environment. So sustainability is a very key, and if you're not thinking it now, if you're not thinking about your futuristic approach now, you're really gonna struggle, because if you are thinking to become something 3 years down the line, you have to act now, right? And that's where you can build a sustainable, when not when the time is there, right? You cannot respond. It's not, when you are proactive, that's where you get the actual essence of the and the beauty of the sustainability aspect. So I'm sure we might be able to help again the next year, and we will be part of it. So thank you so much for thinking about it, because our again and on another line we are again in the same path, and we will definitely cross a path.
And I love this part, exploring each other through these conversations in front of an audience. So that's how human connection works, right? We are
Yes,
modeling it in front of the people so that they can see and follow us. That's
right.
really
And
nice.
I believe we may be being very truthful. We are very authentic, and we are bringing our true self. You know.
Yes,
Um,
there's nothing. I don't know how is it about you, but I don't know. I have been brought up not being able to lie. I kind of like always getting embarrassed whenever I tried in school. I got like red, and I could looked everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
I
My whole
just cannot
family can
fake it.
notice me. It's right. You know. Um, Everybody will notice when I'm trying to lie something. So better not to do that. You're gonna get caught up anyway. You know.
So we all warmed up. So I just want to greet the audience. Hi to everyone, and thank you for watching and tuning in. You are watching the Global Empowerment Summit, and I'm here with Priya Mishra, the sponsor of the event, and a very dear friend of mine. And let's explore further. I'm really curious about, because now a lot of people are writing books. So a lot of people are wanna express themselves, wanna write it out. What was your reason to create this book, The Journey of Perseverance? What was behind it? What was your motivation?
Darling, I'm very, very close to my family. So, my I when I was child, I was part of Radio Doordarshan. It was the only TV channel back then in India. So I was actually approved artist and all, and I used to write, Hindi novel and convert into the drama script, and I used to sell in because I needed money to educate me and my brothers sisters. So I was saying that I'm a Brahmin girl, I need to know how to write. So like what kind of a cultural belief, So I learned that writing in the childhood, and people were praising me. I wrote many poetry. I'm planning to release my own poetry book in future, so that's coming up, another one. Sorry, I'm announcing too many things here. So so I felt my father was very much encouragement for me. When my mom used to criticize me being naughty, my father used to say I'm like a golden elephant who can't carry the log. Okay, so he had a big belief in me. He always encouraged me to write, and once he told my husband that she should write a book. My husband said no, and he made his life mission too. So it's part of everybody actually encouraging me. And last year my father died. I could not complete it book before he died, but when he was in hospital for 1 week, and I asked Papa, where are you going? I'm finishing my book. There, his last word was congratulations. So it was very, very important for me to tick that bucket list. It was my father's choice, and I'm glad I am able to fulfill it.
That's beautiful. I hear your voice. You are like the same like I am with my grandfather. Every time I'm talking about him, like the tears are starting to come up. It happened a long time ago, but if there's someone who is so dear to us, then it's always has to be emotional, and I'm not pushing it away because it's such a nice thing, right? That
Yeah,
we
no,
have
my
still this
father has a
emotion. It's like they are still alive in us.
Yes, my father is a bigger inspiration. And when I was growing up, there was not many people were supportive towards the women's education, but my father always stand up for everybody. Mother was always very particular about finishing the education. So I was one of the lucky one, and that I had that kind of a family support.
And what do you think? What is the most? I know that your book is talking about a lot of things, and there are a lot of messages inside about success, about yourself, about exploring your journey, about enjoying the ride, about being in the moment. So, what's the first message that you would take out of your book that people could just like think about first and get familiar with?
I would say that this story is, I started with the vision of me being perseverant. Okay, I mean, when I was first time going to radio station, and I was just 10 years old, and I hear that poetry. My father introduced me poetry, so I'm a big fan of poetry. And I heard that some children were actually reciting some poetries, and they were like having fun with the poetry. And I said, I can do that, so I went there and I said, I can do the poetry show for you. And they said, oh, no. And I was very little, teeny, tiny person. So they used to throw me out every day, like nearly 700 times I got thrown out. Okay. And I never stopped going there. Right. And after 7-8 months, there was one guy, Hassan Bhaiya, as I told you, that you don't need too many people to believe in you. He called, come here. And I went there, and he said, oh, can you recite poetry? I said, yes, I can. And he gave me a Hindi poetry. It is related to tears, written by Jashankar Prasad. And he said, read it, right? He gave me 8 lines. And I was reciting for half an hour because I marked up whole book. I was reciting every single poetry book. I wanted to be ready for that moment because I knew the moment is going to come. Rejection is a temporary hurdles. These are the initial objection. Yes, it was 700 times. I was only little, 10 years old, but I was very perseverant, and I knew this is going to happen. And my father used to say, always be ready for the rainy season. So when you have everything ready, and when the moment of that truth comes, and you just display yourself, that's the opportunity. You need to grab it, right? And that's what I want to give the first message to the people.
I love the expression that always be ready for the rainy season. It's just something that is so from this part of the world, from Asia, because from Europe, we don't know that. But when I moved to Malaysia like 5 years ago, then most of my friends and family, they are asking, okay, how is the weather? And I'm like, it's sunny. And then next time, it's raining. The only two things is raining and sunny, raining, sunny, raining, and you just don't have any other options because in Europe we have the four seasons.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
such a
But
beautiful
yeah,
anecdote.
yeah. But when you are ready, even ants get ready, for the rainy season. And if you are not, what kind of a human you are, you can't think about the future and the crisis situation, right? We human built for crisis situation. And if you are not ready, and I mean, if you're going and you're getting rejected, and if you're giving up, I feel it's more than others. You are not believing in yourself, right? If you're believing in yourself, that those objection and rejection, it doesn't matter. There is a book written by John Felmer. He wrote that Reject Me, I Love It. I never read that back then. I didn't know how to speak, read, and write in English back then. But now when I read it, I said, oh, I knew it. I was right.
That's nice. If you can type in the comments the title of the book and the author, that will help the audience
Sure, sure.
to find it later.
Reject Me, I Love It.
That would be perfect, and they can read it too, and we can already give them something that they can use later in their lives.
Yeah, I think that's how he spells.
So I think we talked about some important points here, and I just would like to summarize it before we change the stage with Udunma from Africa. It's like a big journey around the world. Now you are from Australia, I'm from Malaysia, and soon Udunma is coming up from Africa. So I'm super happy to have you all and have these conversations. And also, we have a Facebook user who is saying, I love the message. Be ready for the opportunity and believe in yourself. Yes, you are
Thank
summarizing
you.
it right.
Thank you. And I'm telling you, this is gonna work. It worked for me, and it is working for me. I am sure it will work for many people. I'm not saying one medicine work for everybody, but if there are few elements of the old truth, old knowledge, wisdom, I have been passed through my previous generation, and I believe in the old is gold, and it still works. You know.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, what would be your message for the young and the wise? Because that's basically our target this year, to bring the young and the wise together, to be bold together, to understand each other, to start to communicate again. What would be the message that you would pass to them at the end of this conversation?
Listen, younger generation is actually very intelligent, right? If scientifically, if I will go, they have better IQ than we have, right? This is a proven fact. But how wisely you are using your intelligence, that's matter, right? And unless you have that understanding that you have to balance the EQ and IQ together, it's gonna be a very hard journey, right? The life is not easy, and if it is easy, it will be very boring. Trust me, it's not gonna be as happy journey as you can think of if everything will be sorted out. So if there is a problem, it means there is an opportunity. So be ready for that. Look forward to the problem where you can find an opportunity within that problem. It's kind of an aspect of predatory marketing as well. If you see a strength in your competitor and you find the weakness within that strength, and then when you create your strength with that weakness, I know it is complicated, but when you create your strength with that weakness, it is gonna make you a very put you in a very unique position, right? So for younger generation, I'm also launching Andrea knows that I'm launching the whole youth summit program, Becoming Entrepreneurial journey is a very important journey where you learn a lot of life skills, and Andrea will testify that. But what I'm trying to say, that when you are starting a journey, be perseverant, be persistent, be consistent. Communication is very key. We have been actually, what kind of a era we are entering, where we are getting actually compared with the goldfish, where we have our attention span is very low. That's not right. We should be a good communicator, right? Communication is always two way. My father used to say, if you want to be a speaker, you have to be a very good listener, right? If you cannot listen, you cannot respond properly. Cannot be. Communication is always a two-way journey, right? So once you become that, you can become a better communicator. Once you become a very good listener, and when you can balance your EQ and IQ together, you'll be unstoppable, man.
Beautiful message. I just let it soak in. And in the meantime, I will play your video again so that the people can understand what you are up to and what is your book about. And if you want to reach out for Priya and her, get to know her better, then you will already find on the website the sponsors page, and there is all what you need to know about Priya, and you can also see and even buy the book from Priya if you are interested in it. Thank you very much, Priya. We will see each other every single week. I'm really happy and looking forward to our sessions. Have a beautiful day, and thank you again for your support.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. And it is good luck with everything. I am sure it's gonna be, this is just a start. The actual film is still gonna continue. We are gonna see a huge narrative coming up. And after that, when this whole show will be stopped, that's when the actual impact you will see. So I'm looking forward to that moment of time. Thank you so much for your
Thank you very much, Priya. And thank you for the audience who tuned in. We are coming with Udunma. But before I calling Udunma on the stage, I just play the video. And thank you very much, Priya, for being here today.
Thank you. Bye, audience. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hello, everyone. Here we are jumping from Australia to Africa to Udunma. I'm so happy to have you here, Udunma. And this is the time that the audience can get to know you. And we will speak about intentional living, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for being here. It was always like a little bit of a long way how I could connect to you because you are so far from me, but finally you are here, and I'm super happy to have you. As with every speaker, let's start with introducing you, and let's have the audience the opportunity to get to know you better. So tell us a little bit about Udumna, the person, not your work. Who is Udumna? What do you do in your free time? Where do you go to relax? What is your favorite movie? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much. All right. Uduma is just a very simple woman, but she is an intentional woman. All right. So Uduma is from Nigeria in West Africa, and she happens to be a lady amongst four soldiers. I call my brothers lieutenants. So she was born in the midst of four lieutenants and with caring and loving parents. I grew up just getting to know that life can only give you what you are able to take for yourself. And growing up, I found out that I happen to be multi-talented. I have so many skills, like so many talents. I could sing, I could write, I could dance, I could do a lot of things. I could work with my hands. And I didn't really put so much focus on anything other than writing while I was growing up and as well as singing. So I went ahead composing songs, writing poems, and just writing stories. And I went ahead growing up and getting to be loved, knowing my about my environment. I got to the high school and I was among the leaders. I was the head girl. And I got to the university. I schooled on linguistics and communication studies. Afterwards, I got into the corporate world to work as a teacher. So I've taught for over 12 years, now hitting to almost 16 years as a teacher. And at my leisure, I love to do research. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of listening to music. And my kind of music is mostly I call it Christian music. So I know some persons who call it another thing, but mostly it just needs to be jazz. It could just be my blues and all. I love reading. I read a lot. When I'm not working, I read. I go on sightseeing. I love nature. So I go out to see a lot of it, waters and all garden. So I just love everything natural. That's Udunma for you. I know Udunma is a very kind person. I love God and I don't joke with my worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. It was a really good summary of you, and I'm really happy to get to know you a little bit better. Today we are here to talk about intentional living, and I believe you are the person who are the one who can do that. But before we get into that, I always have a tricky questions because you already put it on the table that you can sing. Would you sing for us a very short something through the live show? Would it be possible? You can say no, of course, if you don't want, because it's a surprise. But I would be happy to start this session with a kind of like a sing.
All right, so sure. So beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful, Lord Jesus, you're beautiful to me. So beautiful to me, so beautiful to me, oh, Lord Jesus, you're beautiful to me.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you very much. I'm just clapping like here, and also the audience is loving it. So it's super good. Thank you very much. I'm so happy that we have so many artists. So I will ask them all to do something like this because it's bringing so much color into this show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Udunma. So let's start with the exploring intentional living. So first, because not everyone knows what it is, let's set the definition straight. So what is intentional living for you?
Intentional living for me is all about you being purposeful, living purposefully, and also living a meaningful life. It's all about you taking a calculative step towards anything that you want to achieve and anything that you want to actually accomplish or birth. So I see intentional living as what I could call just a deliberate life, a deliberate way of approach to anything whatsoever. Because anyone who lives intentionally is conscious of thinking through whatever thoughts that comes to them and also being in the now at all times of the decisions they take, of the relationship they get into, and of whatever thing that they ever want to get involved in. So that's what intentional living is for me in its simplicity. Thank you.
Thank you, Udunma. I will also ask the audience. So, Ali, if you want to tell us your definition, please feel free to do so. I know that you're watching. So, please, if you, all of the users and everyone who is just tuning in, if you have a good definition for intentional living, I will show it on the screen. Just put it into the comments, and don't forget, if you comment a lot, if you are here on every sessions, you can receive a very, very nice prize at the end of this summit, because I am I will announce the winner of the most engaging participants of the GES 2021, and we have beautiful things for you. So be engaging, take the moment, be in the moment, like Udunma said, right? And here right now, connect with Udunma through the chat box. Let's go further. Okay, we have the definition, right? So what's the first step towards achieving intentional living?
Yeah, when it comes to achieving intentional living, the first thing that you must do is to go on the journey of self-discovery. There is no how you can get to achieve anything for yourself without knowing who you are, without identifying what you see or you place at the topmost priority. You can't do much, okay, until you've come to know what are the things that give you joy, the things that you kind of have a restraint to, the things that make you sad, the things that you are naturally indulged with, because all those will help you to actually live in the moment or have better focus. So you must go on self-discovery journey. And if you go on that journey, you get to know yourself better, to know who you are. And that will help you as well in trying to know your worth and appreciate yourself. Because the truth is, why people don't live out their purposeful life is because they don't know who they are. They don't even know what they're living for. They can't even think of, is this the proper way that I should, think? Why? Because they don't even know that this is them. So they tend to copy everything. And that way, you can't live intentionally. So that's it. First and foremost, self-discovery. And then self-worth, self-appreciation. So, and that way, you move over to living intentionally. Thank you.
And now we have a comment also from Ali. He's with us. So I think living should be in the now, as the speaker said, living in the moment for me. We don't know the future, so being kind to yourself and valuing life in general is intentional living to me. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Just as the person that should be Ethan. Yeah, Ethan Gray. What he said is just the truth. So we don't know the future. Okay, so being kind to ourselves and valuing life is just intentional living, because at the moment that you are living, you must come to the fact of valuing yourself, and you can't value what you don't know. That's why I said self-discovery is key, is critical. Is just the first thing to do, because just like we say that to know someone is to love the person. So until you know yourself, you can't love yourself. You can't value you. You can't value what you have. So I agree with him completely.
Thank you very much. So we are there. We know what is intentional living, right? That was the first step. Right after that, we are going on a self-discovery journey. We are having our self-exploration. We find our values. We are strong enough to stand as our entity. And then what's coming next? What's the next step, Udunma?
So now, finally, when you've come to discover yourself, your worth, and you are appreciating yourself, I think the next thing that you have to do is to define your purpose, define your values. Okay, you have to define your values, because if you are someone who have the key values that guide you in your decision making, you find out that there's something that you stand for in life. For instance, I, for one, am one person that I've come to the point to set out my values. Number one is integrity. Integrity guides me, kindness, and also people conscious. So These key values guide me in taking decision. Anytime that I want to do something, I will ask myself, is it something that is worth my personality? Is it something that will contradict my person? Is it something that will get my personality at stake or get me into trouble? Is it something that will affect the peace of another person? So when I ask those questions, they will guide me to know if it's in check with my integrity. And then people conscious. I ask myself, what I'm about to do, will it affect anyone? Will it affect the health of someone? Will it affect the peace of another person, the well-being of another person? So, and will it add value to the person? Will it lift the person? Will it solve someone's problem? So all those values, they help me. So you have to set your values aright so that you, in the end, you find out that you are not just living a fulfilled life for yourself. You're also accomplishing a purpose, which is also to help other people, to affect other people positively. So that's it.
Okay, so we have a question here. What value would your actions add to yours and others? The ultimate checklist. Okay, so it's not a question. He is just telling that, okay, so the actions that you do will add to others also. So that's what you said, or to contribute to others. When you are clear with yourself, then you start to contribute to others without disturbing others and without hurting others, right? That's the checklist here. Very, very well said, Ethan or Ali. So, Udunma, we are here again. Let's repeat if someone is just catching up with us. So, we had gone on a self-discovery journey. We are exploring ourselves. We are exploring our values. We are figuring out all what needs to be us. All what needs to be done for us to be live with integrity, right? And then straight after that, we are also checking how we are affecting others, and we are conscious about whatever we do. So we are in a very good path towards an intentional living. How do you make it stick? How do you make it as a habit that is staying with you?
Okay. Basically, I will tell you that it's all about you having a firm decision, and you have to also define your why. Why actually do you want to live intentionally? You have to define your why, and you just have to be firm with your decision that I want to be intentional in how I relate to people. I want to be intentional in towards my career, towards my finances, and towards life generally. So taking that decision, firm decision, will help you. Then another thing is you just also need to be accountable. You need to be accountable, because for you to be accountable means that you need to also should have documented your decision somewhere. Is either you get someone to be your accountability checkmate or manager, okay, and also you journal that down will also help you, because you make it a routine to always check, especially when you're just beginning on your journey of intentional living. So you always check and ask yourself, am I on track? Am I actually doing the right thing? and most importantly is you need to change your mindset from where you're coming from to where you're heading to. Because if your mindset contradicts what you've written down or the decision you're about to take, you will keep hitting back on reset, going back to where you're coming from and not achieving anything at all. So it's important that you take notes, all right? Write it down. This is my firm decision, and this is the reason, my intention or my why I want to live intentionally. And then you go ahead and be accountable, checking yourself either weekly, daily, monthly. You can have some people that they are aware that this is how you want to start living right now, and they will help you to be accountable to ensure that you are actually doing that which you set your mind on to do. And most importantly, celebrate yourself. Celebrate you, no matter how little improvements that you make. Celebrate it. Shout it out loud, because nobody's going to celebrate you than you. And nobody will learn how to celebrate you until you start showing them how you should be celebrated. So that's it.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just wrote the whole checklist for Ali in the comments so that if he wants to check it back, then we have everything there, from self-exploration to self-acceptance, to purpose and values, to integrity, through consciousness about others, to your why, to your accountability, to your mindset change, and then at the end, of course, celebrating yourself for your achievements. Perfect, perfect. Round presentation. That's beautiful. I believe this is a very good message that the people can learn from. What else can we say? What are the obstacles that people meet on this journey? What are the, like, I know the inner critic will just hop in sometimes and tell you, or maybe self-sabotage is coming in. So what are the things that can stop the people, and what are your tips to get over those obstacles, Udunma?
There's so many things that could stop people. The number one thing is fear. Fear. When you're afraid of the new, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. So that keeps you on the track and make you not to move forward. And that alone is enough to dry up the drive and the motivation. So fear. And the best way to settle fear, I actually documented this in my book, The Intentional Woman. Even though I wrote it in the language of women, but anybody can read it. Men can also read it as well. So I documented how you can actually tackle this fear. The first thing is identify your fear. Know exactly what you're afraid of. Is it fear of the unknown? Is it fear of failing? Find out the fear and then embrace the fear. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it. Like, yes, this is my fear. Until you do that, you can't squash it. So you just embrace it. Yes, I'm scared. I'm scared of jumping. I'm scared of getting into the new. But I'm ready to move into the new. And I'm going to take. So with that, you'll be able to find the solution. So you must embrace your fear. You must accept that it is real. It is there. And then challenge it. So that number one is fear. Self-doubt is there. Self-sabotage is there. There is also the issue of, how will I put it now? What people will say. You are scared of what other people think about you. Somebody who grew up with you from childhood has always known you to be a timid person. And suddenly you're becoming intentional in getting to the public, in taking your public speaking life serious, or getting to be seen or known. And you're wondering, what would they think of me? Would they think I'm trying to think myself so highly than others and all that? No. Forget about what others have to say. And then I think the last point I would give is where people get to, I'm just trying to get the right word, but I think I would just say is a case where people are looking for outside validation. They want people around them to validate them before they can take a step. So that outside validation might never come. You might just go ahead getting people telling you, don't do it. I know it happened to me when I wanted to switch my career. People feel, why do you want to leave what you have potential of growing in to what you don't even know how it works? But hey, I did that, and I'm glad I did. That is why you can have me here speaking to you today. So those, yeah.
You're walking
Thank
the
you.
talk. You're walking the talk, Udunma. I know that. The first minute I know you, I knew that you will be here and you will do this and you will give value to the audience. So Ali is with us,
Thank
and
you.
he's saying, I think it is. in instilling intentional living yourself would directly lead to promoting social cohesion, which is a win-win situation. So what do you think about social cohesion and this relation between intentional living and social cohesion?
Yeah, the fact is nobody is an island. Nobody. So you definitely need to find like minds around you and associate with them. Be in the midst, okay, and work with them. And you just also need to be liberal. Don't cage yourself to just that which you know. Very important. Be open.
Perfect, perfect. That's like a full course on intentional living, and this is not even your workshop. I'm so happy to have you, because this was so logical and so very well built up, and people can like see what are you about and they can connect with you. So please don't forget, you can connect with Udunma on LinkedIn. I just put here her name. You can find her straight away right now. That's the best, because otherwise you will forget. Push on that connect or follow button, and then you can just stay in touch with her and ask her other questions. So otherwise, Udunma, tell us a little bit about your book. You told me that you were writing a book, and Intentional Women is the title. Tell us a little bit more about the idea behind the book. Why did you wrote it,
Mhm.
and where can people find it?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. The Intentional Woman book is actually a book that I call the Self Manifestation Encyclopedia, because it is a book that focuses on you, to show you on how to help you through the journey of self-discovery. It will guide you through knowing about your self-worth, knowing how you're building your self-esteem. It will guide you through crushing those fear. It will help you on knowing how to appreciate yourself and dragging other persons, to get to appreciating them more. And I built what I call a concept of self-manifestation, where I dealt intensively on self-discovery, self-appreciation, self-validation, self-care, self-love, self-assessment, self-belief, self-esteem, and it all boils down to living intentionally. So this book had in it five stories of five women who suffered a lot of things. One went through sex, kind of a sex traffic, and also sex abuse, and another went through struggling with a health issue. Another also had another issue that also got her into a felony, where she was even stopped from studies. But today, these women have changed their lives around through intentional living. They got to the point where they had to validate themselves. They had to take it upon themselves to change their story. And I have the one that was stopped from studying. Today she has two master's degree, and she's practicing a career that she loves so much in US. She's doing well. She has a family of her own, and she's raising her family other than what she received while she was growing up. And the other is also doing well in Canada. You just hear the stories and you're inspired to know that no matter where you're coming from, there's hope, there's a future. You can become independent. You can become someone that people will celebrate and love. The book touched on so many things about women, talk about self, about career, talk about her journey, talk about mindset shift, a whole lot that would just give you that self transformation and manifestation of your greatness. Just as the subtitle of the book goes, it's just a book that I just love so much. It's already on Amazon. So that means you can get it on Amazon paperback or Kindle, and it's also on sales right now. So the subtitle, like I said, is just one that you would just embrace, embrace it, because it talks about how to help women to find themselves, all right, and celebrate their strength, their beauty, and manifest the greatness within. And every one of us have greatness in us. I know this book will help people. I know. Already I'm getting testimonials from those who got just the 28 pages out of the 245 pages of the book.
Beautiful journey of yours, and then so inspiring just to go after what you want. And if you go through this, all just the points that we wrote into the comments, you already are on a good path towards change. And if you need some more help, then you can reach out to Udunma. And then thank you very much for this session. It was really, really nice to have you here. And what would be your message, just as a last message at the end of the interview, for the young and the wise? How can they be brought together? How can the generations understand each other again and reconnect?
Yeah, for the younger generation, honestly, I must tell you that they are peculiar people. They are peculiar. They were made for the now. And that's to tell them that they should build resilience. Resilience will help them, for them to settle in at this time and be the best of them. And another thing is, they should also be people who would be open to, let me use the word diversification. Diversification is something that we all need to embrace. Don't say it has to be my way. You have to diversify. You just need to embrace other people, their culture, accept how they live. That way you find out that you have peace. You have peace, and you'll be able to achieve more. And my word, which is my mantra, is you owe yourself your greatness. As a younger person, you owe yourself your greatness. You just have to make sure that every day that you wake up, every day that you live, every day you meet someone, don't wait for other people to push you. Don't wait for other people to do anything for you. Go ahead and do something for you and for the next person. If you start it, other will learn from you, and other people will follow suit. So you owe yourself your greatness. Every day, work it out. Every day, push it out. Every day, make it known, because no other person is going to save you than you. Thank you.
And now let's close with another song.
Yeah! Thank you. So this one, I think, is to just be danceable. Amazing God, you are the same today and forever. Ancient of days, you are Almighty God. Amazing God, you are the same today and forever. Ancient of days, you are Almighty God. You never change, you never change, you never lie, you never lie. You are the same, you are the same. Amazing God, you are the same today and forever. Ancient of days, you were Almighty God. Woo!
I love the session. Thank you very much. Udunma. You are cheering everyone up in Malaysia. Ali is here with us. Thank you. He really likes it. First, he was requesting Hotel California. Never mind. This is better.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Aitan. I would love to connect with you as well.
So please, Ali, please connect with Udunma. You found the LinkedIn name, and just find her on LinkedIn and just write her a comment that you were the guy who was requesting California, and then she will know you that you are the guy from the comment. Thank you very much, Udunma. And I see already Wassim in the studio, so I will let him in. We will have another session with you, but this was awesome. I really loved our session, so energetic and so powerful. Have a beautiful, beautiful day in Nigeria, and see
You
you
too.
again very soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye. Hello, hello, hello. Another country again. We are jumping back to Australia. Let me unmute you. You are here. Hi, Wassim. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm online, but soon I have my another break. So this year I'm telling to everyone I'm pacing it up. I have my lunch break. I have my morning. I have my evening. So it's kind of like a nice paced out interview, and meeting all of you is just cheering me up.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I love that. It's much better. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And every year is going to get easier and easier. And more.
Exactly. So how have you been, Wasim? How was your day? How do you feel today?
Oh, look, I've had a very, very amazing day, actually. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a number of breakthroughs that I had, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I ended up getting up and writing posts and journaling and whatnot. And I haven't been able to sleep since then. So it's been a long day, but it's been a very, very creative day. So I'm actually quite in my element today.
That's good. That's good if it's inspiring, and all these breakthroughs are just making you stronger. So I'm really happy to see you here again. If the audience haven't met Wassim last year, like Wassim was here with us. This is the second year for him at the Global Empowerment Hub, and I hope many, many other years are coming, and we see all the changes and everything what is happening to him, and you can get really good friends throughout this process. So Wassim, I always start with a little bit of introduction. So tell us a little bit about the person, Wassim. So who is Wassim? What do you like to do in your free time? What's making you stay up nights? What is your favorite movie, food? Tell us a little bit about Wassim.
That's actually quite an interesting question because Wassim right now is going through a bit of a transformation. So the answer to a lot of those things are kind of changing or being juggled and reassessed on a daily basis. Look, what do I? Who is Wassim? Wassim now is someone who's about two things in life, which are inner peace and living a life of altruism. If you don't know what a life of altruism is, I actually have got I've got a definition here right on my wall, so I might read it out. So, effective altruism, a philosophy and social movement that advocates using evidence and reasoning to determine the most effective ways to benefit others. It applies broadly to prioritizing non-profit work, scientific projects, companies, policy facilitation, which can be estimated to save the most lives, reduce suffering, help people otherwise have the biggest benefit. So pretty much what that means is living a life of altruism is making sure everything that you do betters humanity and contribute. So those two things and those two energies that I'm about have now led me to a lot of growth and contribution. Um, so that's pretty much who I am right now, and the rest of the things that we discussed, or all the other things that you asked, what are like colors and what else? Sorry, you want to repeat some of those, Andrea?
I was asking for food, for favorite movies or favorite food.
Favorite food. Favorite food. Look, I love all food. It's so hard. I probably have a favorite food per country or per category. But probably one of my favorite foods is I love Southeast Asian food from all across Southeast Asia. I love exploring that part of the country, that part of the world, and hopefully when the lockdowns and the borders end, I'd love to go there too. So that's probably one of my favorite places to holiday. Maybe even live one day. And who knows what happens with the world where we're going. Um, Favorite color is purple at the moment. It's shifting. Yeah, that's about it. Was there anything else that I missed?
I see the jumping tribune in the back of you. You are using that little tribune to jump in between sessions.
Yes, I do actually. Yeah, it's something I started doing quite a while ago. When I first started my speaking career, I wanted to. I'm a big personal development enthusiast, and one of the people that's really impacted my life over the years has been Tony Robbins. So I looked up what Tony Robbins does in the green room before he goes on stage, and that was one of the things. So I thought, hey, if he still does it at his level, then it should be something I should incorporate. So I first started doing it mainly when I've got events and things like that and speaking. And I started incorporating it more and more in my day. Just the gentle bouncing for the body, for your health, for your mindset is actually very, very beneficial. It doesn't have to be high jumps, just up and down with your heels. Just that up and down motion just gets your blood going and just really opens you up. So if you're having a hard time, I've actually designed my office all about inner peace at the moment. So I've got over here the trampoline, the bouncer, and I've got my. I'm not sure if you can see that. You can probably see the TV there, just over here. Can you see the TV? Uh, so yeah, so there's a TV. So there's a TV over there, and that TV just got videos that just have imagery that goes through, like things to help you relax and whatnot. And I've also got ambience music. So I've designed my whole office and my whole work about just being in that inner peace right now and living a life where I'm giving others.
And I see the lights also, like under your furniture. It's very cozy. But
Yeah,
what's with the unicorn?
I've always liked unicorns, and my mother-in-law actually got one of these for my. She got one for my niece, and at the time I made a joke. I'm like, "Oh, is that for me?" She's like, "No, that's for your niece." I'm like, "Why don't you get me one? I like unicorns." And then she actually went and got it for me and made it. Like, you got to actually make these and put the colored studs on. So I thought, "Oh, well, that's actually really sweet of her." So I put it here.
And then Ali is asking us first, like, do you like biryani? That's the first question. And then the second one, do you day trade, brother?
Look, I love biryani. I love biryani. It's one of my favorite rices. Do I day trade? No, I do not day trade. Only because I believe, well, from what I know, what I've been taught is when it comes to day trading, some people spend a lot of time doing, and unless you've got the time and the finances to be able to put the money in and be willing to lose or do a lot of paper trading to be good enough to do it, by the time you do all of that, you can, in cryptocurrencies, you can actually, you can make a lot more money with different strategies that we teach, or the same amount and a lot more, and with doing 30 minutes a week of work. So yeah, well, I don't really do the day trading.
But Ali, if you're interested in Bitcoin and blockchain technology, we are coming up with a panel. We will have them with Wassim and Michael. They will come up with a lot of Q&As, and they will have their own workshop on it. So they will come back on the main weeks, and make sure you are there and you can ask all your questions. So thank you
Yes,
very
thank you.
much for being here. Wassim, today we are here to talk about your journey from depression to thriving, and for me it was something new because I know you for one year for now, and I didn't know that you went through something like that. So it's kind of like also new information from me. So I'm looking forward to it. How you explain to us how you went from depression to thriving in 3 months.
Yeah. No, thank you. It is something that I've only just started speaking about. When a person, and those that know me would know that I've been in personal development for 18 years. So for someone who spent 18 years constantly, like I'd been to, up until this year, I'd been to 5 UPWs. I spent, some years I'd go to like 6, 7, 10 training events a year. Sometimes I spent over $200,000 on my personal development. So the question is, how did I get to that point? And then when I was there, it was hard to admit to it. It was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of doubt. That how could I get myself to this place? And I'm a man. I don't need to ask for help. And things that I never thought would come up for me because I never actually believed in. I've always been the type of person to ask for help. But when it came to my mental health, for whatever reason, there was a block for me to ask. So it makes me empathetic for a lot of men who, who generally, are those men that would want to rely on themselves. And as they get into this point, it makes it even harder for them to seek that help. So my hope and my goal is if we get people to, if I can get enough people to listen to the story of how I did it, maybe I can inspire some of these people who are, right now I'm being challenged, and I know right now, a lot of people around the world are being challenged, and that's what happened to me. It was the current pandemic, the current global financial system, the current climate of the world. That's what affected me and made me lose everything. So I know a lot of people are going through that or might be going through that, and I'd like to be able to, help inspire them and show them a way out, because I also know how hard and how dark it could be when you're down in that depth.
So that's something that a lot of people are going through nowadays, right? Because of the situation, everyone lives it differently, and that's why I started actually the actual summits last year, because I saw that many of my friends are living this situation totally differently than I'm doing it. For me, it was the most inspiring time of my life. I got so many ideas because I'm inspired by helping people, by just by supporting others. I got my flow, and I'm happy to do that, and I found my whole life purpose through that process. But
Yeah.
what would you say to people who are dealing with the same, and they are really low now? Like, I know that a lot of my friends are having, even among the experts, I talk to so many people who are really struggling. Yeah, strong individuals, but still this is a tough situation. The business is going down. We are really insecure. We don't know what's happening in the future. We have to adapt and change. So what's the first step? What would you say to them?
Look, everybody has their own journey, and for me, I had to hit rock bottom before I made the move. And I'd like to, luckily for me, my rock bottom wasn't catastrophic. So what I'd like to do is, help others not get to that rock bottom. And when they know on the inside that there's something not right, they know there's better out there. They can see others around them happy. They're starting to feel a lot of, low self worth. Regardless of how much money you have, depression, and no matter what you have in life, like I said, I had all the tools to get myself out of it. And when I hadn't had the issue of depression, I could never understand why it was so hard for people to ask the question for help. But now I do, because there is a lot of guilt, there is a lot of shame around it, especially when you're a man like me who's a father of three boys, and a husband, of 20, 21. My wife and I have been together for almost a quarter of a century now. It can be quite emasculating for a man to go through that. So I know how hard that could be. But one of the biggest things I would say is, take the courage and just find someone. People want to help. People generally, people come from a good place. I genuinely believe that. Everyone wants to do the best they can excuse me, everybody wants to do the best they can with the tools they have. It took me a while to find the right people to help me. Over the years, I've had coaches, that I had the tendency when I was up and down. And then I was fortunate enough this time around to find a coach who was empathetic, compassionate, and can really challenge my views and help me work through things. So don't be afraid to get help, because when you're in there, I know how tough it is when your emotions take a grip, and you need that sounding board, someone who's non-biased and you can trust that can help you through it. You definitely got to find that someone and have that support, because it doesn't matter how strong you are. If it takes a grip of you, it can be very, very, very hard to get out of.
I think there is also another aspect that we could touch together, because I live in Malaysia as a foreigner, and I am kind of like, not pressured by the society and not pressured by the things happening here. And most of the people that I meet here are afraid to talk about depression, because they say that the society and the people around them, it's so strong, the judgment coming from the society and all the beliefs and everything what people have here, that it's really hard to reach out for them. They don't know who to talk to, because then they get the eyes and the looks, and then the community is like closing them out. So how did you deal with this part? Because I know that you are in this also yourself. So how did you deal with that one?
Look, I was fortunate enough, and I can empathize. I'd like to say I can empathize with those people who sometimes don't find who they can talk to. I would say to them, I'll give you what I did. I was fortunate enough that I have an amazing wife who has stuck by me and was there for me throughout the whole process. She helped me when I hit rock bottom, and she pulled me up on it, told me how things have to change, and she was willing to have the hard conversations with me. So I was fortunate enough to do that. At the same time, I understand the guilt and shame. So, because I'm fortunate enough to have such a wife, I was able to keep it within my household when the whole thing was happening. When I was carrying the guilt and shame, and even in the beginning, I didn't even speak to my kids about it. So I understand that, but find someone. There's a lot of services that will be there anonymously. I'm not sure about Malaysia. I've never been to Malaysia. It's a country I'd love to visit one day, but I've never been there. So, I'm sure there's got to be ways out there for you to find anonymous help, or go from there. Just
Yeah,
feel mentally
yeah,
healthy.
exactly. Anonymous help and reaching out, it's so important. I think that's the way to go. And Malaysia was struggling with suicide rates going up like crazy during this
Yeah.
pandemic. So that's why I'm actually talking about this country. But it doesn't have to be so far. I was in Amsterdam, it was the same. So a lot of people are struggling with this, and it's a serious issue. That's why we really focus on mental health this year. We are bringing a lot of information around this area. But let's just talk about the 3 months, because you say you came out of it in 3 months. So what was the first step? How did you start? Was it your own realization, or you just threw it through something that happened to you?
Well, yeah. Look, first of all, I just want to agree with you that the suicide rates are not just high in Malaysia, they're also very high here in Australia. So, these lockdowns are having a very, very negative effect on people. And like you said earlier, some people are thriving during these lockdowns and some people are not. They're surviving, or they're struggling. And, I was one of those people last year that I thought I was really like, in the beginning, I turned my business around and started making money, and it just got harder and harder and harder as the lockdown went and the challenges that we faced for the first time. So I started going downhill. So the reason why you don't know is because it started happening. It was happening around the time I was on here last year. But obviously I had a front where this is an internal struggle that I was even having challenges to face. So I get that. And to answer, what was the second part of your question?
I was saying, how do you start the process? You first realized that you had something, or it was coming through some actions that happened to you, or how did you realize? And then what's the next step?
Yeah. So for me, the realization was, it was a time I had a fight with my wife, and it was quite a challenging time because I was in such a bad place that, I just got into crypto at the time, and I found that this is a way for me to regain some of my financial losses. And I was talking to my wife about it one morning at the gym, and then she smiled at me. Now, because I was in such a bad place, and this is what could happen, my wife has the purest heart, but I took her smile as her belittling me, when the reality was she was smiling because she was happy to see me enthusiastic about something new, because she knew what I've been going through. But because I was in such a bad place, I took it in the wrong way. We ended up in a big fight, and unfortunately, I pushed my wife, and it's something that I'm not proud of. And I'm not saying this to impress anybody. Obviously, it was a very, very wrong thing of me to do. But it was in that moment that I realized that, okay, this is not who I am. And my wife and I, we stopped and we decided just not to talk, and we left it for a day, and we started the conversation the next day. And that's when my wife had the courage to have the challenging conversation with me, and telling me that enough is enough, and that we should get, she offered to get couples counseling. But I had been obviously reflecting over the past day and so forth, and I knew that it's time for me to reach out. So I said, no, I've got to start with me first. So I picked up the phone. We have an organization here in Australia called Beyond Blue. So they're like just a free service on the phone. They're like a charity, anonymous. I'm sure there's things like that in Malaysia. You've got Black Dog Institute. You've got a lot of different organizations that, a lot of organizations that do anonymous mental health. So I spoke to them. They advised me to call my doctor and get a mental health plan, which I did. And I started seeing a psychologist, and because I'm in the coaching world, I started networking to see who could be someone that can help me. And I found a coach that helped me. But you've got to be committed. The days of ups and the days of down will come. Even though there was a period after about 2 months, a month and a half, where I felt really, really good, I got triggered and I went downhill for a good 3 weeks. So it can be a roller coaster ride. Yeah.
So that's something that you, from once you are getting to this state, you need to be really cautious about, right? So once you are in this state and you realize what's happening, you get the help, you start to improve, you follow the steps, but all the way you need to be careful, right? Because you still can be triggered. So what are the triggers, like typical triggers? What was it for you, or what can it be for people like who are struggling with depression?
Yeah, one of the things I learned through my challenge is, whatever, and I knew this on an intellectual level, but I didn't actually see it on a metaphysical level, which is, Carl Jung says in his books, and he's a well-known psychologist. He talks about that whatever we whatever we have on the inside, we project on the outside. So for me, a lot of the triggers would be just little things like, I got an email that was a bill, for example, that I knew I couldn't pay, or someone's chasing up for money, or or something, or some challenges come up in the sale process, or any little thing that was, when I decided that, see, I've got to sell everything and close my business down and everything, every little hurdle became every molehill became a mountain. So I would get triggered very easy. And unfortunately for me, my favorite flavor of depression was anger. So I would get angry and I would lash out at people and I would yell and I would scream. So that was, controlling those triggers was one of the biggest challenges I had. And the only time I was able to do that is when I got rid of guilt and shame and stopped judging myself.
It's a perfect first step, to stop judge yourself and to accept the situation that you are in, and then you start to reach out for help. you are starting to grow. And what was the thing, like how you are now? You say that you in 3 months you got better and you turned around. So what was the last part after the keep getting the triggers and keep jumping back and in, and then what was the thing that was like the end of this journey, or are you at the end, or it's still like around?
I'm definitely not at the end. My journey is just starting, because what happened to me, I've realized now. I definitely feel that I'm 100% cured from depression. However, this depression was the best thing that's ever happened to me, because what I've realized was the fact that I lost everything, gave me clarity of purpose, gave me alignment of heart, gave me inner peace, gave me a life of altruism, which is to help other people unconditionally. So I'm having breakthroughs every day. I had a breakthrough yesterday afternoon. I woke up, actually yesterday evening. At the end of the day on a Friday, I had a really big breakthrough in my mission in life. And then I woke up in the morning and I was thinking about today's event, and I had another massive breakthrough, which is I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about my journey, and I want to go into details. So, I'm going to start looking for someone who can help me write a book, because I don't know how to write a book. I've got the knowledge in my head and I've got the stories. So I want to look for a coach to help me write a book and help me plan it. Maybe get an editor who can start editing the things that I write, because I know a lot of it's going to be mumbo jumbo, and someone's going to look at it and put it into what makes sense. So that's part of my journey now. I want to speak to people. I want to tell my message, get my message out to people. I want to start putting together a talk which goes through exactly the journey I went through, some of the insights I had about leadership, some of the insights that completely changed my life. For example, I realized, and to answer your question, what was the final process for me? The final process for me was actually Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. And I say this not to give him a plug. I'm not affiliated with him in any way or form. But he changed my life the first time around. I'm going to be honest. In 2003 was the first time I got into personal development. And they got me on an amazing journey of entrepreneurship, of learning who I am and discovering who I am, and got me to exactly where I am today. Yes, there was a lot of mistakes along the way, and those mistakes piled up, and I ended up losing everything. I understand that. And I see the wisdom behind it, but I also see the wisdom of what I can teach people. I see the wisdom of, how I can inspire others to be able to, see and navigate this situation. Because I'll tell you now, depression's a bitch. And excuse my French, as they say. But when that thing gets a grip of you, it can be very, very challenging to go through that. And also losing everything. I'm now living my best life, and I genuinely say that I have inner peace. I'm well on my way to financial freedom through the new vehicles that I'm using. I'm helping others do the same thing. I'm going to start doing some philanthropy work that I'm starting to work on. I'm going to start writing books, TEDx talks. My journey just started. The breakthrough I had this morning at 3:00 in the morning, I woke up and my whole future was right in front of my eyes. I literally had to get out of bed and I grabbed, and you know what, I know I'm going to sound, it's going to sound a bit corny. And Tony Robbins talks about moments that he's had like that when you go to his events. And I literally had one of these moments at 3:00 in the morning. I said, stuff this. I can't stay in bed with all these thoughts going through my head. I've got to get them out and put them. So I came downstairs. I grabbed my tablet. I'm a video journal guy. I don't write too much. English is my third language. So, I just turned on my camera. I've got a special app that I put all my video journals in. And I just started recording. The next thing I'll do is, I'll download them. I'll put them through a transcribing website. And then I'm going to start writing and, start putting these actions. So definitely the journey's not over. The depression is over. I've gone through, I did UPW about 2 weeks ago. And I knew I was going to go into it for the first time in my life. I said to myself, you know what, I've got to look after me. So I actually took a whole week off work. whole week of business. And the day before, I spent the day preparing myself, doing personal development, writing 90-day action plan, writing 90-day goals, what energy I want to live in. I spent a lot of time doing personal development, dealing with inner emotions, clearing out any negative emotions, and all that kind of stuff, to really open myself up to the experience. I've been to 5 UPWs before this. This was my 6th. So I know the power of it, and I knew that where I am in life right now, this event is going to be pivotal for my life. So I played 100% full out, non-stop. I was like, I'm doing this out of my own in my own living room, and I've got speakers playing all around. I had the whole surround sound system up to the highest volume with the windows open. My neighbors probably thought I was crazy. If anybody knows what UPW is like, you'd understand the energy that they have. But I played full out, and then I took 2 days after UPW to review the information. I've got it all up on my wall now that I look at it every single day. I've changed new daily routines. I started implementing the things I learned. And I've never done that in my life. I've always gone to these events. I go first day out, the 4th day back to work. But now I'm spending time that I've got to integrate this, because I've realized, one of the things that aligned everything for me was the moment I realized that for me to be a true leader, a leader that leads from the heart, I have to use my heart's desire to serve whoever I'm serving, whether it's my family, whether it's my clients, whether it's my community, whether it's humanity in general. My heart's desire is to serve, and I need to use my logical mind to make the right decision for my heart's desire. And that was a big change for me, because what I used to believe was, or what I used to do, was use my heart's desire and my emotions to drive my decisions, which was completely wrong, because my emotions were self-serving. And now I can engage with my emotions and see whether they're going to serve those that I'm serving, and put them ahead of my needs, because my needs are met by having their needs met. And that changed everything for me. It changed the way I do business. It changed the way I speak to my children. It changed the way I speak to my wife. It changed the way I look at people. I realize now that every opportunity I have in life, every interaction I have with another human is an opportunity for me to impact, to shape that person's life, and for me to be truly grateful for everything that God has bestowed upon me and all the blessings I have in my life. The only way I can be truly grateful is by using all these blessings to impact the world, to shape other people's lives. So that's where I'm going from here on. And that is my mission in life, to make sure I can help as many people as I can through whatever situations, whether it's financial, whether it's financial freedom through the work that I do through my work, whether it's mindset, whether it's working through depression, whether it's working through relationships. That is the path that my life is going from here on. I feel like I'm definitely at a launch pad to something amazing, something huge.
Beautiful journey of yours. And you see, something good can come out of even the worst thing that can happen to us. So it's kind of like a very empowering story that everyone can just listen to and they can relate to. And I see already Farida in the studio, so I will add her to the stream so that you can get to know her, because she's an amazing person. And she was someone who was the youngest person who went to the base camp of the Everest. And I just brought her up so that you can connect. So here you are, the young and the wise, being together on the same screen. And someone who is just starting her journey, and someone who is just at the peak of his performance and his life, starting another journey because of some other events, right?
Yeah. Life is always a journey. Life is about chapters, and every chapter brings completely new possibilities. I've been through many, many different places in my life, and I've been many different people in my life. And I've realized that all of those things are just experiences to get you to a place where you're going to really, really shine. And from someone who's taken, 43 years to find his true purpose, I can tell you that if you persevere, continue going. And sister, assalamu alaikum. I'm honored to meet you, to be the youngest person to go base camp on Mount Everest. It's an honor to be with someone so great.
My all-time pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. That's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
And
thank
yeah, I'd
you.
love to connect with you.
Thank you very
Yes,
much, Wassim.
definitely.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
you have to reach out to Farida. You will find her on LinkedIn, and then you can connect and ask each other stories about the
Inshallah.
Everest.
Inshallah ta'ala. Thank
Definitely.
you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank
Thank
you.
you to everybody that's watching and all the comments. I have been reading them. Especially, I forget the gentleman's name. He's had some really, Ethan Gray. There it is. Ethan, thank you very much, brother. You've had some very, very nice comments. I appreciate it. I did read them all. And please feel free to connect with me. I'm happy to connect with anybody.
Just write
Thank
in the
you.
comments when you are connecting with Wassim that you were here and you were at the talk and the GES, and then he will just get back to you.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Wassim. Have an amazing afternoon or evening.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Hi, Farida. Hi, how are you
Hi.
today?
Hi. I'm all good. I'm all good.
So nice to see you. And I was just talking to your teacher today. I
Yes,
didn't know that you know Cheryl.
yes. I could say she's my mentor, and she's been helping me out since I've started moving out and studying in Malaysia. So I'm glad that she's part of my life, mentoring me through, whether it's through my academics or personally. I think she's always been part of my growth. So yeah, I definitely appreciate it.
So we are here today because you are from the young generation, and I wanted to bring you up and tell your story about being the first Egyptian girl who went, the youngest, right? Who went to the
Yes,
base camp of the Everest. And it's something, I just did the Mount Kinabalu here in Malaysia, and
nice.
it was already
Yes,
something for me, an achievement. It was beautiful to go up and the pinnacles right before that. And it's just, I know that it all needs a lot of power to do this because you are struggling with your mind. You have a lot of things, especially in the Everest, which is like double the
very
height.
true. Yes. I would say it was mentally way more exhausting than it was physically. I didn't expect that. I didn't know that. I wasn't ready for that. I've always thought it's just about the physical challenge, and it might be a little bit of an emotional challenge. But I've always thought that, you know what, I can do it. What am I going to feel? I might be feeling that you know, I need to push myself through. But I didn't know I'd actually struggle mentally to be able to go through this. I didn't know I needed to, just as I was practicing for my physical strength to be able to climb the mountain, I needed to practice mentally to be able to be ready for this expedition. So I definitely agree with you, Andrea, because I just didn't know. And then by the time I was already there, I got to understand how, um, you know, how I've been very brutal to my mental stability and my how I control my mind and how I control myself around things when I am put into situations where I need to adjust myself into whatever that is happening, because we had no choice. We did have a choice of going back, but then it was just very hard that after all what you've went through, I've been training for about 1 year to be able to get on the mountain, and then you just suddenly tell me that I'm not going to be able to do it and that I need to descend. It was just crazy. I didn't know how am I going to accept. However, you not accepting the fact that you don't want to descend might put your life in a risk, which is very complicated. For me at the time, I was 70. It was a very complicated, balance of you being honest with yourself. I had to have this physical intelligence to know what am I feeling, so I'd be able to always update, my mentor and my guide on the mountain, so they'd know up to date what's going on with me. So this helps me if something serious is happening, because something serious could be happening without you knowing. So yeah, I just wanted to, point this out and agree with you on what you said, because it's crazy.
That's already just like a sneak peek into your journey. But let's start at the beginning. I always ask the people who are them, and so who is Farida? What's your favorite book? What do you do with your family? What do you do for summer? Do you go on holidays? What's your favorite country? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I just turned 20 2 months ago. So I'm still very young. I'm a senior student. I am very, very passionate about mass communications, and my major is public relations, and I for sure study in Malaysia. And I'm very excited to be back. I think because it took a very major part of my life, and suddenly it was taken away. So I was like, oh, I didn't have much time and experience of me living alone in a foreign country and getting to know people. And it's not just about having fun. It was also about the fact that I wake up in the morning and I do breakfast for myself and I go to school, because for people who don't know, I'm Egyptian and I live in Cairo. And for a typical teenage girl, or an Egyptian, a young Egyptian that lives in Cairo, every single detail about our lifestyle matters, and it all has meaning. And because I've been living with my family, and we're very, I have three other siblings. I have one twin brother, and I have two other younger sisters. We've always been dependent emotionally, mentally, and physically, for responsibilities and stuff on my mother. So being just suddenly not having this life anymore, suddenly not finding someone that wakes me up in the morning so I could go to school, suddenly not having someone that makes breakfast when I'm sick, because I had a lot of times where I was sick. It was very challenging, yet I was very excited for it because it's new, and it's you know I don't get to wake up in the morning, going in the very busy streets, because the place I even lived in Malaysia didn't have that much traffic. So I could say this has been my favorite part of my life, but I didn't have, the I just had a glimpse, and then I'm waiting to come back. So my favorite drink, and I would always like to start this off, is mangoes with peanuts. Maybe many of whom are watching us now would consider this a little bit normal to have this this mix of juice. But then any Egyptian would hear this would get weirded out. So I just start to open up the conversation with that. Um, so yeah, what else? I love mountain climbing. I I'm I've been working since I was 17. I've been financially independent since ever I've been. I started working. Yes, I started working at 16. I started to be financially independent at 17, and ever since that, I've been working in the career that I love, and I've been trying to to grow as much as I possibly can in the field that I'm actively passionate about it. So yeah, here we are, and I'm about to graduate in a few months. So I hope it goes well, and I hope I go back to Malaysia soon, to be honest.
It's super inspiring. I believe, like, I ask just the audience, don't you think that she's not like 20 years old? I mean, it's like the more young people I'm listening to, the more I see they are not so young in their here, because they already did so many things, but they are young in their physical, but in their mind they are so wise. I believe that I should just put the two things together. There's no young and wise. There's just wise.
Yes. Thank you. I've been always struggling with that. When I've always felt insecure about telling my age. Because if I'm sitting with a group of people and we get to have a very interesting conversations, we get to have, arguments and debates and things to talk about. And then the moment they know how old I am, I think like I usually collapse. Like I've been forcibly put into a box where, oh, you're just 18, oh, you're just 19, and then I'm finally leaving the teenage years and moving on to the 20s. And I still tell people how old I am, but now I feel like I'm a bit more confident about it. And you know what? I'm 20 and I can talk about, go for whatever. I want to open up my mind. Thank you for putting this out, because it's very special for me to just come up to the public and tell, hi guys, I have 20. I'm 20 years old.
So here we are with the 20 years old Farida on a super journey to get to know her better. So tell us a little bit about the beginnings, because this is the story. This is your story to go in the Everest. But when did the thought came to your mind as a person, like, I want to do that. I want to be like that. I want to be on the top. I want to train really hard and eat specific food and do specific exercises and not sleep and wake up in the morning. So as a 20-year-old girl, like, where did it come from?
Okay. Wow, that's okay. I would say that I've been trying different sports since I was a little girl. I played everything that I can recall. And then after I finally settled on one sport, which was basketball, and then I quitted after I was physically bullied at school on the 7th grade, which I recall I was 13 at the time. And then by the time I started to grow up, I've always known that I wanted to be something in something. I didn't know what it was. I did know what I loved, but I didn't know what it was. So I've been thinking, I love sports. I don't mind going to practice if I love what I'm doing every day after school when I'm very tired and this and that. So I started to grow up and media has hit in, and I started to have my Instagram account and my Facebook account, and I started to connect with people online, and I started to see stories that inspire me. And then when I was 15, I climbed a mountain here in Egypt. It's in Sinai. And then, the first glimpse I can say that hit me, the first thing that hit me, how beautiful it was to put so much effort into something, and then you're finally rewarded with the summit by watching the sunset and looking over the mountains from top. It was just so special. I felt this spark. I felt that I needed to do something about it, because I would leave my group and it's in the middle of the night. We had to catch the sunrise, so we trek in the middle of the night. I just leave my group, probably put my life into risk because you might fall out, you might there's so many that can happen, especially as a 15-year-old kid. I wouldn't know what to do if I was lost. So I would leave my group and ask if one of the guides could take me so we can, because I feel like I can speed up my pace, because I'm so excited about the fact that I want to catch the sunrise. Yet I would feel like I'm very, very tired. It's very, very exhausting. The altitude is pretty high. I'm barely able to breathe properly. Yet I am putting all my effort into it because I want that reward. I want to, as little as I'm saying, just climb the mountain so I can reach the summit and enjoy peacefully the beautiful scene. So yeah, this is where I guess it hit me. I knew I wanted to do more of this, but then unfortunately we don't have so many mountains or hikes or greenery sceneries in Egypt. So I started to follow, I started to study more mountains around the world. I started to know. I knew Mount Kinablu when I was this age, I guess. I knew what's the highest mountain in Africa, what's the highest mountain in Europe, what's the highest mountain in the world, blah, blah, and and so on and so forth. And then this is something that I've always had in my life. What's best? What's the most extreme I can do? What's the peak? And I keep telling myself, you're 16, you're 15. There's so much that you can do. I know I have so much energy. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna waste it, but then I knew I didn't want to put this much of energy that I knew that it existed in hanging out with my friends after school and gossiping about what happened with this girl and that guy. And this is not what I wanted. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's part of our life, but I knew this is not what I want. This is not where I want to, waste my time in. I just want to waste my time. So yeah, I started to search up, and then I was like, okay, let's join an expedition. I wanted to join an expedition. How much is it? I already work. I'm okay. I can save up. I'm good at saving. And then all these thoughts came into my mind up until, at 16, I landed at an opportunity. They were calling for, young climbers and, this and that, and preferably to have previous experiences in mountain climbing. I was like, yeah, I do have, I can climb this same mountain 2 more times. And by then I'm going to have, the experience that they want. And I don't know from where did I have this much of confidence of me knowing, oh yes, I've been, doing sports since I was 10? Yeah. My mind couldn't accept the fact that there's an obstacle that's going to come. And this is when I learned that, this is not how life works. I was like, whatever obstacle I'm going to face, there's always something I can do about it. My mind couldn't, settle on the fact that you're not gonna, it's fine. There could be something like my parents not agreeing. I didn't think about it at the time when I applied. I didn't even tell them. I was like, I'm gonna apply. Maybe it would come and maybe it wouldn't. I'm not gonna freak them out without, making sure I'd be able to do it. I had to study everything. I had to know everything scientifically, biologically, what happens to the body when we have high altitude, so I can have this argument with my parents because I know I'm going to face it. I had to, study. I would use, this is the perfect term. What's the worst case scenarios? How much do I need financially? How long do I need to train, and so on and so forth. So I landed on this opportunity. I contacted them and I told them, you know what? This is all what I can tell you. Yes, I'm only 17 because I cannot hide my age at this point. But I've been practicing sports all my life. I climbed 2 mountains and I told them how high they were. They're only 1,000 meters, but their geographical location, it's not just like the Himalayas, of course. So, but I'm very passionate. I want to be part of this. Whatever you tell me to do, we still have like 1 year. I can train, I can go, I can do this and that. So they were very excited, to be honest. They were very supportive, and they took me. And then I was actually sponsored. So I was very, very happy and very glad that I had this opportunity. And this is where all things started.
That's beautiful. And we have Andreas here. He's also saying it's awesome stuff and such great insights. And we have, of course, Cheryl here who's supporting you. And she's saying you are amazing. And that's another insight that I wanted to bring up here. It's from Ali or Etan. So he's saying that he wanted to take his bike to Pakistan, from Pakistan all the way to the base camp, but the parents refused straight away. So he even got some sponsors, but he didn't have the parents. So you already started to give some tips like prepare for your talk, right? Before you talk to your parents, prepare a strategy. But what else can you say to young people like you who would like to do such a thing? How to approach it from the parents' perspective, how to communicate and how to prepare them?
Yes, because I could say this was the first challenge and the biggest one I can say that I faced with my parents, telling them. So whomever who wants to do something crazy and their parents, they know that they're going to refuse. First things first, as I said, you need to study very well. You need to have answers to all questions that they might have. And if you don't, you need to have you need to know where you're going to have your source from. It needs to be somewhere trusted. It couldn't be just me saying so. So always having answers to the question makes you stand up confident. True. And I think this was very important. We need to address um, whomever is doing that. You need to address what's the impact of whatever you're doing on you. So they get to have they don't know. The generations are different. It's it's crazy. They wouldn't know that my son wants to take a bite and go to the bike to the highest mountain in the world. They haven't had this before. They weren't put into this situation as parents before. So they need to understand what's the impact of that on you. What's the impact of the first question that my mom would ask me, so what's gonna happen when you climb it? What are you going to feel? What good are you going to have backwards? How would this affect you in any way? You want to leave school for 2 weeks? I was a senior student at that time. It was a very, very critical time of my life. And surprisingly, the exact dates of my expedition were the exact dates of my final examination in my final semester in my final high school year. But because I knew that before I went to tell my mom, I was so ready to the point, because again, I settled. I wanted this so bad. So I settled that whatever I'm going to face, I'll need to resolve. Of course, I'm not going to go tell my mom, oh, you know what? I want to climb the base camp of the highest mountain in the world, but I'm leaving in 2 weeks and my final exams are 2 weeks. Of course, she's going to say no. So I had to resolve this before I go tell her about the whole thing. So when she tells me and she starts to freak out, I say, don't worry, I've resolved it with the school principal. And this is exactly what I did. I went to them, I had a meeting. I was just being the little boss girl, living her life, thinking that she can do it. And then I sat with her, I remember, with my school principal and the entire, I thought it's very urgent. We had to have a meeting. After I'm going to sit in my break. I'm not going to attend my break so I can meet you. And I told her, you know what? I'm climbing. So I had this business mind, and I told her, I'm going to be the youngest Egyptian to ever do that. So all my request is postpone my examinations. And I know this is, of course, a headache on, my teachers and the entire, administration, because you create a whole another version of exams. It's not easy. And in return, of course, I know that, yes, you'd be supportive and all these things, but I know that you had to, what would you benefit doing this to your, teachers and schools and having second drafts of exams? In return, I'm going to sign a contract that would give you the permission of using my photo when I reach that one of your school students did something historical. And I swear to God, they agreed, and we had a literal contract that I searched up on Google, and I did it. And I went to her office and I signed, and she signed back. And I told her, even if I didn't make it, it's still historical that I stepped foot into the Himalayan range. So don't worry. And besides the fact they were extremely supportive. But then I just, I've always had, you always have to think of all the possibilities of the important things that your parents would consider and resolve before you throw the problem and leave them to think about it. Because the thing, whatever you want to do, or something like climbing mountains, or something, the extreme sports, or, you want to go backpacking for 28 days in a foreign country or whatever, it's new to them. It's enough for them to keep on, digesting. So you need to, resolve whatever the issues that you're facing. And then, because when they start to freak out, you always have answers. Don't worry, I've resolved this. I did this, and that. I have a plan for this, and that. When they see you, being organized and confident about it, and you're not going to exhaust them financially or whatever. I paid for my flight tickets, and my expedition fees were sponsored. My parents, they just gave me, I remember, just my pocket money or something. They didn't pay anything. My gear, I contacted Nike. They sponsored my headscarf. I couldn't wear the normal cotton scarf. I had to have a breathable headscarf, so it wouldn't exhaust me while climbing. They were very supportive. Nike, they gave me the headscarf. They gave me some dry fit t-shirts and so on, because of course for me as someone that covers up, I would need, besides the fact that it would be cold and it has to have a professional gear, but they were very supportive into giving me the appropriate gear that I wanted, and so on and so forth. So I knew that we wanted to do this with the minimum losses that we can have without them regretting. I've also wanted to trust me. You need to build trust with your parents. You need them, when you tell them that, don't worry, I'm going to pass high school and I'm going to continue on my scholarship and go study abroad, you keep your promise, you keep your responsibility. It's part of, I don't just go and climb a mountain every day. But at the same time, I have to, what concerns them, which is at this time were my academics, I had to keep my promise and, keep up with whatever I need to be,
beautiful journey. And I think Farida, we have to talk again, because this is just the first part of your journey and it flew so fast. We are talking for 30 minutes already, so I have to close the studio, but I will contact you soon after this talk, and then let's set up another meeting for another time during this summit to have the part 2 about everything throughout, what happened to you, how you settled there, what were your fears, what are the dangerous things, and all this. Let's do that, because I believe this conversation's really worth a little bit more. And also, Andreas is saying, see you again. So I have to bring you back and we have to continue this story. If you allow me, I will invite you for another conversation for another 30 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I would love that. And thank you to everyone who has tuned in. Thank you, Dorn. Thank you, Mrs. Cheryl. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Andrea, for putting this summit together and providing the platform for inspiring speakers to come up and having these interesting conversations. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed my time here.
No, I feel honored, and I would love to get to know you better. So I will catch up with you, and I will I will organize other show with you. And Cheryl is also saying yes, please have. So we have to bring you up. So I will bring you again in October during the main summit, and then we will talk about a lot more than just today. But thank you very much for the beginning. It's already a good curiosity maker, and you gave some advice to Ethan how to convince the parents. This is a good value for everyone, every young person who want to do something out of the box and something a little bit dangerous. If you want to have the tactics, you have to search for Farida. and you can connect with her on LinkedIn. Please do reach out and get connected. You just have to write that you met her at the GES, and then you can start your friendship. Thank you very much, Farida. See you at another time.
Thank you,
and have an amazing day.
Bye. Thank you. You too.
Bye.